Good to go, Justine.
Excellent. Great. Thank you so much, Lucian, for turning the recording on. So welcome. Thank you all for signing in a little bit early for the July 2022 Battery Park City Committee meeting. My name is Justine Kucha. I'm the chair of this committee, and my Kathy Gupta, wave Kathy, is my co-chair. And we have committee members Betty Kay, Eric Flores, Jeff Galloway, Robin Forst, who is a public member, Sarah Cassell, and I think that's all I'm seeing, but if I missed somebody, excuse me, but that's who I see. And then we've got other members who are certainly members of Community Board 1 who are on, which is great. So thank you for joining us, Pat, Susan, Wendy, and Peyton Elder. We might start with you. So I think our agenda today is jam-packed. We're going to try to squeeze in a lot of things and try to finish by 6:30. So I want to keep it running, and then we're going to switch over, trying to aim for 6:30 to switch over to the Environmental Committee. What we'll talk about in our meeting are first the progress report on Portside activation, and then we're going to talk about the Tunnel to Towers run. And then Nick Bordone, who I don't know if he's here yet or not, but I'm sure he's calling in, will give us just a little update on Battery Park City resident amenities, because I've been hearing from people they don't know what's going on, or they don't know about certain things. So a short, brief informational chat, and then we are skipping this month Pat's security report and the Battery Park City Authority's what they send their report to us. We don't need that. We'll get their mailer. So I think we can just jump right in. And Peyton, introduce yourself.
Yep.
I see you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And so you are with Brookfield?
Yes, I'm here on behalf of Brookfield Properties tonight. I'm joined by my colleague, Courtney Whitelock, who I believe is an attendee, and Annie Perez-Chica, who is here on the Springfield side, who we've been collaborating with to execute on Portside out on the Upper Plaza here at Brookfield Place. And so really tonight, Portside, part of the reason we love to enhance our Upper Plaza out there is really for the community members. And so we wanted to come back here tonight and take any feedback away, get any update from you guys on what you've liked about it, what we could improve upon, and if there's anything else that we can do better going forward through the balance of the summer.
That's great. Well, I think everybody knows what Portside is at this point now, right? That is the activation that's been set up in front of the Winter Garden in the North Cove Marina area. We had a lovely presentation about it's being put in last month. And yeah, Rob, I'm going to let you speak because I'm really going to call upon the folks in Gateway to give us some information, because I just walk past there. It doesn't affect my day-to-day sleeping or daytime, but anyhow, so Robin, you first.
Yeah, hi, nice to see you, Peyton. I would, the only comment I have is that you have speakers not on the port side, but rather in front of the Winter Garden, and there's music blasting, and frankly, it's really loud, and it competes with whatever is happening at Liberty Bistro and whatever is happening in the area. It's impossible to have a conversation with anybody as you walk by.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can move the speakers inside the fence and have it project towards the people who are enjoying their time in the sun at Portside. But I think it's really disruptive.
Absolutely. That's great feedback. We've gotten that feedback with the Lake District in the past, so we'll absolutely have a conversation with them again and make sure that they turn their music down, and we'll look at alternative placement for the speakers.
It's not their music that's a problem, it's your music that's
okay.
the problem.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take a look at that. Thank you for
clarify that. Yeah.
Okay.
You had that. There were 2 vertical speakers. Last time I went by, I just saw one. Maybe you've moved one, but it's quite loud. And if you're walking and talking, you cannot continue a conversation for several feet.
Okay.
Beyond. So if you could look into that, that's good.
Absolutely.
That's great. Just while you're here, Can I make a comment about another venue in that area? Okay. The PJ Clark's and location.
Yep.
They're doing a very brisk and great business, and I'm sure after the pandemic, it's more than welcome. But their patrons are completely blocking the pedestrian walkway
Okay.
between the seating area to the south and the seating area along the restaurant itself. So if there were ever an emergency or somebody running for some reason, they could not get through. So if the restaurant could do a better job of corralling their customers to at least allow a pathway that people could navigate and get from one side to the other. People going to the ferries, people going to Belvedere, people going to the Mercantile Building, etc. That would be helpful.
Absolutely. We will definitely have that conversation with them. Thank
Great.
you for
Thank
bringing that to our
so much.
attention.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks, Robin. I see that Sarah has her hand up. I just want to say also welcome to Bob Schneck. If I missed your name when I was saying hello to people, I see you now. Sarah, go ahead, unmute yourself and go.
Well, Robin just hit the last point that I was really raising my hand for. But also there are people in the lower levels of the building right facing the Esplanade that the noise is very, very, very intrusive. And I don't know how you could possibly put up some kind of sound barrier for them.
Is that the gateway you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. They stop me in the hall. They stop me in the Esplanade. They stop me and say, "What?" It's like, well,
interesting. So that's really important because not higher up, because I know your apartment faces it. It's not bad up high, but it's bad low.
But it echoes lower, and that's a consistent issue.
And Sarah, just to clarify, it's people talking. It's not music.
Oh no, it's the music.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's the pound.
Okay.
Pound. So if we could angle it somehow.
Which is, I think, what Robin's suggestion was.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I also would say, if I may, I mean, and again, I haven't sat there. Two questions I have. If I wanted to go there, bring my own food, sit down, bring my own wine, or buy wine, or whatever I wanted to do, I'm still allowed to do that there, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so number one, cool. Thank you for
We
that.
encourage that.
Open. But secondly, what I will say, and this is from last year, but it's interesting to hear that the folks are bringing it up this year. But I remember last year sitting there and just not being able to have a conversation because it was so loud. And, maybe I'm of a certain age where I prefer a little bit quieter. But if it's bothering, he's probably laughing at me. But yeah, I do. I prefer to be able to have a conversation. But that said, if other people are complaining about the noise as they're walking past, and in the apartment building at Gateway, which is way across, beyond the angling, maybe a decibel or two lower would be lovely.
Okay, absolutely. We'll look into that.
Anybody else? Any other feedback from anybody? Jeff? Anybody? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Peyton. I think that's a good feedback. In the meantime, if anybody has anything else they want to add, please let Lucian know, or let me know, or Sarah, or any of us. And Robin, you want to talk again? Okay,
yeah,
please.
I just want to say, since Peyton is a captive audience here with her people, so yeah. I'm sorry to bring this to you also. But there has been an increase in the use of electric bikes, as I'm sure you know. And in the area in front of Brookfield, on that plaza between the building and the bikeway, I have never seen anybody from Brookfield patrol the area. I don't know if, and I'm frequently there. It's hard to stop them, I know, but I think if there were a little bit more attention paid to the traffic, it's dangerous. There are strollers, there are a lot of people walking. And the other thing, and I know that some of the security people have tried to control it, but it's been very difficult. A lot of people seem to think that their dogs are special and they can run around Pump House Plaza, at will. And it's really terrible because if you go out there, you see little babies playing and crawling in the grass, and knowing that there were dogs running around there, to me as a mother, makes me a little sick. So
Yeah.
anyway, again, if you could step that up a little bit.
Yeah.
I know you have a lot to patrol and control, but as a resident that traverses the area frequently, I just wanted to raise those with you, and I appreciate
Absolutely.
your attention.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that to our
Yeah.
attention again. We'll definitely raise it with our operations team and ensure that we put some proper measures in place.
And Robin, question, because you're talking about on Liberty Street or that way, or you're talking about in front of on the lower level by the marina, or both?
No, on the east side of the building, so between the building and West Street.
Got it. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
there's a big plaza there that runs the length of the building with what's it called? The conference center convene,
Convene.
you
Yep.
know, at the south end, and then going to the north. There's the driveway that divides the two sections of the plaza.
Yeah.
And I would say on both sides, but on the north side, you have San Ambrose, which takes up some of the real estate, so it's a little bit harder, I think, to use the electric bikes. But anyway, it's pretty heavily trafficked, and it's getting worse. It's a citywide issue. It's not a Brookfield issue. It's not a
Okay.
Battery Park City issue. But to the
Right.
extent that you can help control it on your property, that would be great.
Definitely.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Peyton and Courtney and
Annie.
Annie. Thank you. Thank you. There you go, Annie. Sorry about that. And thank you all. I appreciate your coming. And like I said, anybody who's got stuff to add or comments or concerns in between meetings, especially since we're not going to be here in August, please let Lucia know. And Peyton, you've been so responsive. So I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I will just be taking that and taking advantage of your responsiveness with the
Yeah.
information that comes through. So thank you.
Okay. Great.
All right. Well,
Thank
thanks
you,
so
everyone.
much. All right. And I also know that next on our agenda, sorry, I'm looking at it, is our review of the 2022 plans for the Stephen Siller Tunnel to Towers run. And Susan Starr is here, I'm thinking. Yes? Yes, I see you. Hey, Susan. And I know there's someone with you, I see, but I don't
Hi there.
remember her name. So please introduce yourselves, both of you, and thank you. Oh, there's more than one. There's 3 people there. Very cool.
Hi. So I'm Susan Starr. I am the director of the Tunnel to Towers New York City Run and Climb. And I'm with my executive vice president, Gina Della Ragione. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you. And senior director of operations, Stephanie Whitty. Hi, guys. With me. So we are so pleased that you were able to squeeze us in. Thank you. Yes. Thanks so much. It's great to see our friends. Great to see you, Justine. It's been a bit.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for coming. So yeah, give us the updates on anything you're going to be doing this year for this Tunnel to Towers.
Sure. Terrific. So I see that it seems there are a couple of new faces, or new faces to me. So just wanted to give you a little bit of background on the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. We are a 9/11 501c3 started in memory of FDNY firefighter Stephen Siller. The Siller family's philosophy, and one that is embraced by everyone at the foundation, is that it is better to light a candle than curse the darkness. So that's what we are all about. Our signature event is the Tunnel to Towers New York City Run that retraces the final footsteps of FDNY firefighter Stephen Siller, hence the Tunnel to Towers name. And as per the city of New York, that is held on the final Sunday of every September and has been for the past 20 years. So this year will be Sunday, September 25th. I'm going to make it really easy for you. We are asking for a repeat of that which we did in 2021. I think that, with your help, we have reached a point where we have the recipe for success. Just to give you a little bit of information regarding the ask. So we are fully permitted, and our load-in would begin on Saturday, the 24th at 8 a.m.
Okay.
The run is on Sunday, the 25th. It starts with a pre-wave at 8:30 a.m. That includes many of our program recipients, including our injured service members. The run officially begins at 9:30, and the final wave is released at approximately 10:40. Following the run, we host some festivities on Bessie Street. The program usually begins about 10:30. It's over about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. With regard to street closures, just so you know, the Hugh L. Carey Tunnel is opened by 1 p.m. Last year it was 12:38, so we stay on schedule, if not beat it, kind of like my game of beat the GPS. The West Side Highway opens again by 2 p.m., if not earlier, and Vesey Street, New York Sanitation will come through by 5 o'clock, and by 6 o'clock, if not earlier, you have your street back, and we always strive to be gracious guests and to leave it cleaner than when we got there.
And you do. I will say that you guys do. And it's
Thank you. Thank you. For those who have never attended the event, we view the event as unifying, uplifting, honoring and remember those lost, while celebrating strength and resilience of the community and those left behind. And some of you I know were at our 9/12 live read last year, where we also stopped to remember those who have been lost of a 9/11 related illness. So we find ourselves, you know, we appreciate your friendship and your support. Justine and board, I do want to let you know that last year I did get a call from someone at Community Board 1. So I appreciate that you have shared my phone number, and please continue to do so. But it seemed that some members, even though we've used the same program for 20 years, there were a couple of residents that were surprised by the event. So this year I'm working a little bit more closely with Nydia Reeder of Battery Park City. And in addition, I've spoken with Patrick Murphy, who is the security account manager for Battery Park City Safety Ambassadors. I just would really love to make sure that we cover our bases as much as possible, and make sure that the residents are informed of the event so that it doesn't come as a surprise to them. So I'm doing what I can. I'm not sure on your end if there's some type of newsletter or posting, but I'm doing the best I can to cover just a little bit better, so nobody gets any surprises. Does anybody have any questions for me regarding the program? I'm not sure if you're familiar or not, or if that covers it adequately. Yeah, I think we're in good shape.
Justine?
Do we lose Justine?
I think Justine was bumped off.
Okay, let me jump in if that's okay. I'm very familiar with the group and the work, and you've been marvelous over the last 20 or so years. My suggestions for notification, I know this is going to sound ridiculous because I think you already do it, but the Battery Park City broadsheet is a source of a lot of information for people in this community. So if you don't, I mean, I'm sure they can do an article. Maybe they do an article every year, but that would be a good place to provide the information. And Jeff, Sarah, and I are on the Gateway Plaza Tenants Association board, and we can certainly send something out to our membership
And
about.
I'll do a flyer for the lobbies.
Yeah, whatever. So, you know, Sarah would be a good liaison to, and we can put it on our social media, but we can send a notification, let's say on Friday before, to alert our 1,750 apartments or thereabouts to the event, which is, you know, we're the biggest complex in the area. So those would be my two suggestions.
Wonderful.
That makes sense. I'm sorry I got bumped off. I don't know why that happened, but I got bumped off mid-sentence. I'm going to assume you talked about warning people, and that's what you were saying, Robin and Sarah. One thing that I wanted to call to your attention, and I don't know that it will have any impact, but Nick, if you're listening to me, Nick Spordone, we're going to talk next about staging for the South Battery Park City Resiliency Plan and the closures that are going down of streets and sidewalks and roads and whatever's going to be happening. We're going to hear about that next. And I don't think that should affect the Tunnel to Towers race, but it might.
Okay.
So that is something that I think that we should talk about. I think it's more going to be planning, But I'm concerned, and Nick didn't put his camera back on, so maybe he's not hearing me yet, but that's okay, he'll come.
I'm here,
Oh,
Justine.
you're there,
So-
okay, cool.
Hold
No,
on a
it's
second.
okay. That's fine. So I'm not sure if you want to hang around for a little bit and hear about what the closures are going to be, because I honestly am not sure until we find out today what they're going to be. And as you're going to be coming through, the roads are going to be, some roads will be closed, and it may be blocking a way out of the neighborhood that maybe is not okay. And I don't know how we can manage that, or how we can, notify people in the South neighborhood. So that's something we could just talk about. Knowing how you guys are, I think we can figure it out. And we may not figure it out tonight, but I think we need to be aware. And again, it's going to depend on what the presentation is next, as the staging, to see what's going to close, what's not going to close, and if it's even going to start before the September 25th.
Great. Great. So Justine, if you wouldn't mind, because I always feel like it's really important to let you guys know the bigger picture and how important it is to us,
Mhm.
to have your time, your attention, and your support. The last time we spoke, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation was positioned to deliver 450 homes by the end of 2021.
Yes.
450 mortgage-free homes. That's how many people that we have helped with your help. By the end of 2022, we are positioned to deliver 1,000 mortgage-free homes.
Wow. Wow. And is that all in that place in Florida? Or this is all over the country plus Florida?
All over the country.
Yeah, across all of our programs, our smart home program for catastrophically injured veterans, first responders, our Gold Star program, and our full first responder program.
That is just wild. Thank you guys for what you do. It is huge.
Yeah, so the growth has been incredible. We are proud to let you guys know that another change is we have initiated a homeless veterans program. So it's a national campaign aimed at eradicating homelessness in the veteran community. In addition to housing support, the foundation will also provide comprehensive care. We're going to be connecting these veterans with appropriate local services because it's across the country. So that will include mental health counseling, skills training, and addiction support. And also, the last time we spoke, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation was able to 93.2 cents of every dollar is going to its intended cause. We are now up to 94. So we're doing an even better job.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Without your help, you all play a big role. Everyone.
No, I mean, it's amazing what you do. Thank you. I see Lucian's hand is raised, so I'm going to call on him next.
Just want to let you know that I was in North Carolina on the July 4th weekend, and actually happened to see a Tunnels to Towers mobile museum at a fire station in Southport, North Carolina, and people were being reminded about what happened in New York, and so I think it's important that people are reminded what happened and who bore the brunt of that, especially in the survivor community. That's really important. But bringing that around, that show on the road, I think helps kind of reposition that, recenter that in around the United States. So thank you for that.
Wonderful. I'm so glad that you could make it. Not everybody can make it into New York to see the 9/11 memorial, so we do take it to them. And I think we've been in almost up to about 40 states now with the mobile traveling museum. So I'm glad you could see it, Lucian. All right. Anything else? So if there's nothing else, I'll just hang out and wait for your next meeting. Thank you so much, everybody.
Justine, did we lose you?
I think we may have lost it. Yeah.
Justine's getting bumped.
All right, let's see. Oh, here we are. Justine, you back?
I don't know why I have consistent internet. Don't know why I keep getting bumped out, but I'm getting bumped out. So excuse me. All right, I'm back again. So that is a wonderful thing. And I guess you folks, I would just ask if you could hang around for a little bit, please do.
Of course.
It should be done by 6:30, but this way you get some information. And it may be moot for this year, but it's something to put into your back of your heads for next year.
Yeah,
Right. Appreciate it.
thank you very much, Justine.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Kathy, I'm going to make you designated
Mover.
Yeah, exactly. Just in case I get bumped. So, keep track because it seems like this is going to happen maybe continually. So if I get bumped, just run with it. But
Okay.
I think next on our agenda is, sorry, I lost my thing.
Resident amenities.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Resident amenities. So that's perfect. Twice. That might be part of my problem. Go ahead. So Nick, I'm going to pass this to you to give you get like a quick update. And
Oh,
Pat, I'm going to interrupt it because before you even say it too fast, Pat, you are excused from the meeting tonight.
Yes.
You know that, right?
Pat can't stay away.
He can't. Okay, cool. I just want to know that you're excused.
Yeah.
You don't have to be here because we're rushing and squeezing stuff in. But thank you for coming.
Right.
All right, Nick, you're in charge. I'm going back on mute.
I'm going to be so quick. Thanks, team. Good to see everybody. I know we're pressed for time, so just very briefly, and to go back to Susan for 1 second with the Stephen Siller run. Thank you for all that you do. I know you're working closely with Nypd and Pat on planning. That's exactly where it should be. When we have the final particulars, well, we can also, as Justine had said in her newsletter, we can also include something in our community newsletter, which goes out monthly, and then also something on the blog, like we did this past weekend for the NYPD Memorial Run, for instance. So making more people aware of what's going on, I think, is as helpful as we can get. Very briefly, and then turning next to planning for this year, should not be impacted for this year, but nonetheless, as we proceed with starting construction for the South Project and kind of going through that process, we'll be closely coordinating with all the permittees and partners to ensure that, to the extent that these events can continue to happen in Battery Park City, we want them to. We want to, as we always have, work closely with the community board and with the BPC committee in particular on things that may be different or changing, especially with respect to resiliency, certainly with an eye toward reducing impacts while keeping some of these events that everyone has come to know and love close here in the community. So very briefly, and I know Justine, we may talk about this again come September, but just a few items of note, and I will not go through the full report, obviously, but I'll send it to Lucian for your records. I did want to just bring up to everyone, so we have it, that number of amenities available to Lower Manhattan generally and Battery Park City in particular, not least of which is something that has recently reopened, which is the community center at Stuyvesant High School. So for those who may not be aware, the Battery Park City Authority runs out of Stuyvesant High School what's known as the Battery Park City Community Center. That is open on the days and hours when school is not in session. And we just had our summer hours. Hi, sweetheart. We just had our summer hours begin. That's Monday, Friday, 3 to 9, Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 6. And annual memberships are, 1 second, sweetheart. Annual memberships are incredibly competitive, certainly for anything you're going to find downtown. So adults 18 and up is $199 per year. If you're a Battery Park City resident, it's $179 per year. Nice. If you're a Battery Park City resident and a youth, a senior, or military, it's $59 a year. So we are talking about a very, very kind of low cost health option. And we just started our summer schedule of classes to include tennis, boxing, yoga, tai chi, badminton, and etc. So Lucian has that full list. He'll put it up. I'll include in what I send over to you all. And then the last thing I would just note, certainly, so we have it, we'll talk a little bit more about it, although most of the conversation tonight is about project staging. We have our Northwest Battery Park City Resiliency Project virtual open house, which, as you know, is available online through July 31st. We had a very successful in-person open house session on June 29th, which was well attended. We have the virtual option again open through the end of the month. And then we have our full suite of free summer programming underway in Battery Park City, to include River and Blues, which is free music concert summer Thursdays in Wagner Park. We have Nicole Ray coming up this Thursday, and Cedric Burdenside and Maggie Ray coming up the following Thursday. We have the Battery Dance Festival coming up next month, and any number of free events throughout our 36 acres of parks and public spaces through the end of August and September for the fall, and then starting the fall calendar after that. We also have Cumbia Dance, which is a Colombian musical ensemble, Rebelu. That's on Saturday the 23rd, right here at Esplanade Plaza. Beyond that, Lucian, I'll send this to you for your records, and you can go through it. But those were the main items, and I wanted to try and keep it as brief as I could. And I'm sorry. Last thing, I'll plug for our partners at the First Precinct. Lucian, you probably also got this note as well. But National Night Out Against Crime is coming up. That's on Tuesday, August 2nd at 6 p.m. At the Seaport. So keep an eye out for that. And that's it. I tried to make it as quick as I could, Justine. Thank you and the team.
Great job, Nick. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And at the Stuyvesant High School, that has a pool, that has a full gym, it has basketball courts inside as well as outside? Or not outside, I mean outside.
Yeah, it has the pool, which is available for swim. It has pool, it has the gym, and it has all the classes that are free for members. So if you're a member for whatever it was, I mean, $179 a year, you get free access to all the classes that we run.
Okay, cool. No, that's good to know. I wanted to know because people were asking me, and I sort of knew that, but I didn't know all the information. So thank you.
Yeah, the pool, the gym, the auditorium, and there's also the cafeteria, as we know, can also be used as community space.
Yes, that's right. Thank you again for allowing one of the condo building boards. They got bumped out of a meeting, and they needed to have their board meeting, and you put it together quickly, fast, and you gave them access to the cafeteria, right, at Stuyvesant.
Yeah,
and they said it went beautifully. It was a beautiful space, and they were so grateful.
Yeah,
So,
look, we have the spaces we want them to be used. So perhaps when I'm back in September, we could talk a little bit more about, especially as these things start opening up post-COVID. God forbid if we're ever completely through it. But the Six River Terrace, 200 Rector, the community center, et cetera. There's a lot of space for folks to use just indoors, and that's not counting the outdoor space as well. So with that, I will pass it along to the team.
To the rest of the team. Yeah, no, exactly. So thank you for that, though. But yes, I was asked to convey the thanks again and say it was successful, and you really pulled it off in like 2 hours notice. So thank you all, and thank you to the team for making it happen.
Thank you.
All right. So South Battery Park City Resiliency Construction Staging and Phasing. Presentation by Gwen Dawson, Franco Maurizio, right? Claudia, Laura, and the Levo group. Let's hear about it. Let's start. Yes, sir.
Just really quick. Can we let Susan Starr and Tunnels to Towers go?
She did go.
No, we're staying.
They're staying to hear about this. But can you let them go as in leave? Yes. I think that Nick said it's not going to affect you this year. So yes, you may be excused.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. I was like, wait.
I just happened to look over and I see them kind of like rapidly attentive, and I was like, "Oh man, I think they're waiting for something." But
thank you so much. Good point. I was like, "Wait, what?"
Thank you so much, everyone.
Now, thank you so much for coming. We'll see you in September.
Absolutely wonderful. Yes. Bye.
Bye. All right. So, Gwen,
Sure.
do I push it
Can
to
you
you?
hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for letting us have the opportunity to come and talk to you. I'm going to turn it over in a couple of minutes to Claudia Filomena, our Director of Capital Projects, to lead the discussion about the staging for the construction. But I did want to take an opportunity at the very beginning, just a couple of minutes, to address one point that has been raised. There have been some questions that have been raised about the modeling related to the South Battery Park City Resiliency.
Gwen, wait.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to talk about that, but I'm going to ask to talk about it, if you don't mind, when Alice is in charge. She's asked me to have it pushed to so I'm glad you're raising it, because even if you talk about modeling after, because she really wants to focus that in her part of the agenda.
Okay, I was
Is that
actually,
okay?
I was actually gonna do it in both. And so
Oh, okay, well.
I was just gonna go through a couple of minutes just to get, to respond to the points and then also, you know, have it on the agenda for the next meeting. But I'm perfectly happy to defer it if that's the way you'd like to do it.
It might be faster because we only have 15 minutes.
Sure.
And I don't mean to interrupt you because I am
Fine.
very interested. So
That's
I
fine.
want to know what you've got to
I
say.
have
but
to
thank
interrupt
you.
everybody. Everyone, if you're not speaking, please mute your microphone, please. We're getting a little feedback, and that's because there's a lot of open mics here. I'm going to go
Yeah.
through and mute, but everyone, please mute yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody,
Yeah.
can you see the screen? I just want to make sure my sharing is working.
Yes, it's working.
Great,
And
technology.
Gwen,
Good.
sorry,
Okay, just
no,
making sure.
that's okay. I just want to apologize to you, Gwen, for stopping you, but I think it makes sense.
No, that's fine. Absolutely
Thank you.
fine. Let Claudia take it away.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Justine, for having us. So just an overview of the project site. I think a lot of you are familiar with this already, but the project is basically in 4 segments: Museum of Jewish Heritage, Wagner Park, PRA Plaza, and the Battery. The first thing we wanted to do, and as you mentioned, Laura Gray from the Lero Group is also here to talk specifically about staging. We also have Rick Fogarty from Melissa Johnson Associates, who's doing community outreach, and Franco Maurizio, who's our AVP of construction, who is heading up the construction side of this project. So we wanted to first talk about access, which just came up in the context of tunnels and towers. So we want to talk about pedestrian, traffic, and bike access during construction first. So for pedestrian circulation, just so people are aware, so basically pedestrian circulation is maintained in front of Wagner Park. Pedestrians are going to be in a protected lane in the street with dirty barriers, similar to what you see around most construction sites. We will, instead of entering at first place to the Esplanade, they'll be entering on second place. And around the PRA Plaza and Battery area, pedestrians will be further out to the sidewalk, but it's still essentially the same path through. We also have access to PRA Plaza, which is also going to be maintained during construction, because that has been, you know, I know that's been a topic of debate to the community, so that access will remain available through an entrance along Battery Place. In terms of traffic circulation during construction, that remains unchanged. There's no lanes that are being taken out. Again, there will be pedestrians in the street along Battery Place, but the idea is that the traffic patterns will remain essentially the same.
So basically you're taking away, which is, you're using the pedestrian space, you're using the parking that's there as the pedestrian space, basically.
Right, exactly, at the curb line, essentially, right. It's the parking at the curb line. And just to address a question earlier, we are, or the contractor rather, will be coordinating with MTA, also sort of the downtown bus, to make sure that any stops that are moved are approved. We did say in our letter to the board that we'd also consult with the board on new locations, just because that's important. We don't want to just sort of throw a bus stop someplace and have no one know where it is. That's not helpful. So we also are coordinating there.
And when will we know that information, Claudia? And because that's actually go to Betty Kay and her transportation committee, but I just want to know.
Justine, we have Community Board 1 asks that went to DOT for both MTA and from the schools, from many different committees. Any of this discussion, if it's not done here, will end up in executive. But it's very frustrating to me that, of course, decisions and conversations are happening without the Community Board first. Let's let her finish.
Okay, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at, but thank you. Go ahead.
No, we currently don't have a contractor on board. So the contractor will sort of put that plan together. Laura can elaborate on this when she talks more about the construction staging, but the idea is that they would present that plan. We would consult with the board on it as well before submitting to DOT or MTA.
So that's a commitment before submitting to anybody. You're going to come talk with us.
Yeah. We know that that's obviously been a concern and a question from the board, so we're committed to doing that. So for bike circulation, this is sort of the existing bike routes. We are working with City DOT about the request related to an actual specific bike lane along Battery Place. That coordination is still ongoing. But during sort of the construction, the only place where the bike access currently changes is in front of the Battery, where we're pushing the bike and pedestrian lanes closer to the street. Otherwise, if you're coming from the Greenway and going up Battery Place, cyclists basically take the same path they've seen today, same as you're going south on Battery Place and you're going to the Greenway. And during the first sort of phase of work before this PRA and Battery work, which is coming a little bit later in the fall, the existing Battery bikeway is still going to remain open. It's only during construction that it gets pushed further out to the street. Now, in terms of just the overall construction staging, I'm going to hand this over to Laura Gray from Lero, who is going to talk through the specifics around both the Wagner Park staging and then which the board, I believe we showed it to them at the last LMCR quarterly, but also what we're calling the Pier A battery sort of phase 2 construction work staging for that work as well. So I'd like to hand it off to Laura.
Before we hand to Laura, because I want to see if anybody has questions.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump ahead.
No, it's okay. And Tammy's hand is still raised, so I'm assuming she's going to have a question. So I guess with this, you're going to be having and maintaining a bike lane that's going to be on the street, as well as the greenway, which of course exists, starting at Battery, where Pier A is basically. The greenway is a way for the bikes to go north and south, but then there's no place for them to go once they hit the Pier A area. That will remain open. Do you have any idea how long that will remain open before they start doing construction?
The section that goes basically from the Greenway to State Street, that goes east to State Street. Again, that work is sort of, the procurement isn't even on the street yet, so that work is a little bit further behind. It'll probably be, at least a month or two that access will remain open, possibly longer. So the idea is that they'll still have that access. We're also, just in terms of people being aware, especially cyclists, making sure that there's detour signage that is readily visible, just so that there is, once this actually is rerouted during construction, that it's clear that you can still take the same path. It's just further on the outside than it was before.
Okay. And we'll talk about the staging area and the construction by Wagner, the Museum of Jewish Heritage in a minute. That's a different.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to hold off on that question. And then I do want to reiterate what Tammy was saying, because the bus stops are really important. The school dropping off for the kids and having access to where the kids are going to be dropped off, whether it's going to be for after school, for before school, whatever they're doing. And then for camps, when it's going to be coming into play next summer. All of these things matter, and we need to have that nailed down before a shovel is dug into the ground.
No, understood.
Tammy, your hand is raised. Go ahead.
Even more than that, Justine, it come into question conversations that we've had with the Battery Park City Authority that I don't see answered as of yet. It's nice and glossy about the bike lane, but we specifically asked not to have all of the parks in Lower Manhattan, the large lawns, other than Rockefeller, clearly, out at the same time. The Battery Oval is gone during the construction project, and Wagner. We specifically asked about staging opportunities to leave one open while work was being done on the other. We also very, very, very clearly said in our response to the environmental impact statement that first place where they are doing construction staging with trucks going in and out is the absolute positive worst location in Battery Park City for this entire project based on several things. One, it is the only residential building that why you have to drive in and out underneath the windows of the people who live there is untenable. The loading dock for the Museum of Jewish Heritage is there. There will be in the middle of a construction that it's not reasonable that they're going to lose access, even minimally. And lastly, first place goes directly into the crosswalk that goes to 276, where all the students. We have already had a crossing guard get hit there. We've already had pedestrians hit there, which is why there are stop signs everywhere and a crossing guard. It is not a safe intersection. Adding a construction in and out zone during arrival and departures for school hours is inane to me. So while this lovely, lovely thing shows absolutely none of the requests that the community board made and the feedback that was given was taken into consideration as far as I can tell.
Haven't gotten to that part yet about the staging. So if we can maybe let Laura get to that, then that might answer at least some of your concerns.
Okay, and where is NYPD going to be staging? Well, if you move the bikes and pedestrians into Battery Place, They have a permanent security stop that is right where you're showing the pedestrians walking.
Yep.
And we have been told numerous times by NYPD that is counterterrorism. They do not answer to the first precinct. It cannot be moved under any circumstances. So how is that taken into account in this drawing?
Do you know where she's talking about, Claudia?
Not specifically on this drawing. I do not, others may, but I do not on this drawing. So apologies for that. We have been coordinating with NYPD counterterrorism overall for the project. And I don't believe that they've raised that concern. I'm happy to go back and double check to make sure that that's been the case. But I apologize, like I don't want to give an answer that's not accurate. And it's, you know, I'm happy to get back to you, Justine, you know,
yes, please. No,
this week on that, just to confirm for sure.
And basically where they stage is right around First Place, a little bit south of there. So kind of between the two red lines, like how you kind of carve out for the museum. They stage almost in front of the museum, and that's where they are. And they've got cars parked there, sometimes one, sometimes two. So that would be exactly what Tammy's saying, right in the where the pedestrians would be walking, and it would take up more space in the street if I put them outside of it. Anyway, I'm fine with having you go to the next thing, and let's see what the next presentation is. So thank you, Claudia.
Not a problem. So I'm going to hand it up to Laura, and Laura, just let me know when you want me to advance the slide.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Again, Laura Gray from the Lero Group. Just so folks are aware, Battery Park hired Lero to manage the construction of the South Resiliency Project. So I'm just going to be talking a little bit about the staging and the logistics during construction for, I guess, the two major phases. The first one you see here, this is the Wagner Park Museum of Jewish Heritage reconstruction. And I do want to address some of the items that were just brought up by Tammy. You know, we are, the museum is a partner that we've been working with very closely on this. And, you know, we've really been working with them in partnership because we know that their loading dock is, you know, a major way that they keep their operation running. So what we have worked out with them, and we're continuing to do that, is the access along First Place is really only going to be utilized for the work that we need to do on First Place. And that work will be coordinated very closely with them and with, you know, we will advise the residents when it's happening. And I know there's been some concerns with the staging area, but that's really just our base of operations. So for example, my office will be there, as will my team, and the managers of the, you know, the contractor will be there. It's not a gathering point for a large portion of people. It's a way that we run our operation. Will be kept clean, and we will run our operation professionally. In terms of what will be stored there, a lot of this area, frankly, is taken up by existing planters and trees that are to remain. So although the area is hatched entirely, some of that area is not used by us. It will be, the trees will be protected and planters. And we are salvaging a large portion of materials from the park, some granite and other things. So those pieces of material will be stored there, you know, for the work, and then brought out, you know, to the location where we're ready to put them in place. In terms of the coordination with PD and DOT, that all goes through, you know, you all, but, you know, we will work, you know, we'll inform you of our plans to close the sidewalk, you know, and detour the pedestrians in the street. And we have to work with NYPD and others like we do on every project. So this is something that happens when we have construction, and it's, you know, something that we'll need to work through, and we can get the answers to you. In terms of bus stops, I wouldn't call them much a relocation. It's more of a shifting that's envisioned. And again, those are things that, you know, we will communicate with you. I don't anticipate a major impact to many bus stops, but when we have them, we're going to have to work through them to get the project done. Next slide, please. This is the phase 2 area of the project, and that will be the Pier A and the battery reconstruction. That area is shown in orange on this image. The bikeway and the walkway, this is the shifted alignment roughly on this grafted. It's shown, the bikeway is shown in the hatched blue, and then pedestrians are in the, in the blue that follow their current alignment inside the curb. The restrooms in the park, in the battery, will remain open. Our staging area for this portion of the project is shown in blue in a portion of the oval, as you've referenced. There's a lot of trees that we need to protect and stay out of their critical root zone, so we've squeezed it in this area, and we've worked with Parks and the Conservancy, on locating this area for the work, and it will be restored, at the end of the day. There will be a fence, a construction fence that runs along the battery place, and so pedestrians will enter the battery on closer to State Street during construction. Next slide, please. So just a couple of high-level points to reiterate. There is the construction fencing will have our regulatory signage that we need to have on it, our permits and everything else. And Battery Park is working to develop some content for the signage. We've been working with the museum, for example, to potentially highlight some of their upcoming work on this. So I guess more information will be presented when it's available. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, the staging area is really for our office space and for salvage. Materials will be brought to our work areas and put in place prior to the work. The first place entrance will not be a primary construction entrance. It will be utilized for when we perform the work. No parking of personal vehicles will happen on our staging area. We will all take the train or get there by other means, but that's not permitted here. There's frankly just not room. And, in terms of the residents and doing our best to work and understand that people are living there, we're going to limit our, backing up of our trucks and everything, till 8 a.m. Rather than 7 a.m. And, in terms of flaggers, and we will have flaggers for all our vehicles. I've been working in New York City. I haven't done a job that isn't in a congested area. So we're very attentive to this. It happens all the time. Our construction vehicles will have flaggers when they come in and come out, and we will not impact the school. We will work with the school to make sure that we're not impacting their drop off and pick up, just like we do on our other jobs.
Laura, can you explain? I'm sorry for interrupting, but I heard from the museum today.
Yes.
Not yesterday, not a day before, just prior to this meeting, that they were unhappy.
Yeah.
I know for a fact, from having been PTA president, that the school was never told about First Place being closed and lack of access and the impacts to the crosswalk. So I'm uncertain, unless you're starting construction at 6 a.m. and you're done before kids start arriving at 7:45, which we know that's not possible, how you're going to be able to, quote, work with the school when they start at 7:45 and go till 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Well, if you, there's many other entrances to the site, so we will detour our truck traffic to the other entrances of the site. The First Place access, as I've mentioned, we have work we need to do on First Place. So we will look at that granularly and look at our constraints that we have, including the school, including the museum, and we need to really work on that on a day-by-day basis in order to get our work done and allow everyone.
You're reaffirming the position that the Battery Park City Authority took from the position of the DEIS with zero change to the conversations and concerns were raised. All you're saying is we will work with you but no change will be had. I'm just being very clear.
I mean, we have work that sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because I'm going to say
it's not, I think that's a little bit unfair. We are providing clarification in some respects, and in some respects, we have made efforts to make sure that there are other priority entrances to the site that will be utilized rather than the first place entrance. There's no way that we can completely eliminate that entrance because there's work that needs to be performed there. But we have endeavored and will continue to endeavor to significantly limit the access to first place in recognition that there's a lot of activity at that corner and that the school exists across the street. I think that certainly the statement that we will work with the school is not a cop-out, it is a commitment. And so I don't see that as being something that's not responsive to the concern.
Well, I guess, Gwen, and I'm going to speak now first to the museum. The biggest concern I have is that the Museum of Jewish Heritage, as Tammy said, it's not just Tammy who they've spoken to. They've spoken to me as well as other people in the neighborhood and on this committee. And they have said that they're not satisfied with the communications. They're not confident that they will have access to their loading dock, right? And they need that on a daily basis. So if in fact there's a day that you need to block it, that's going to mean they're closed for that day. And that is not a solution that's acceptable for them.
I don't think it means they're closed, and I can.
But that's what they've said to us. I guess that's what I'm saying to you.
And I'm recognizing it. Certainly, if they're feeling that they're not happy with the communication or with the approach, then we need to address that. We absolutely need to address that.
I don't know, Gwen, if they're saying they're not happy with the communication. They're not happy with the result. So they don't feel like. I mean, I think that you hear them, but you're not listening. Does that make any sense? So it's not about saying there's no communication. There is, you're talking to them, that much I could say. But the problem is they're not confident that the accommodations that are being made will be sufficient to allow them to keep their work and keep their flow of business open.
Okay, well, you have my commitment that I personally will follow up and find out exactly what the area is that they're not satisfied about, and we will figure out a way to address that.
And yeah, I mean, that's wonderful, and I would like to do that, and I'd like to know updates because they trust me that they're going to talk to us. I'm hoping that they're going to talk to you, and then you'll figure it out. And then as for the school, you can't. There needs to be, and again, there needs to be a specific plan because children, their parents, the teachers, the bus drivers, everybody, they need to know what's happening before it occurs. So last minute changes, even at a weekly basis change, that's not okay. We need to have something set that's going to work throughout. And it's unfortunate because the construction's going on in a place that's heavily populated and densely populated. And you really are at a pinch point in terms of the school, the museum. And then we didn't even get to the picture, which I wanted to go to, where the staging area is almost against that building, the residential building, that apartment building. Is it 50 Battery Place is the lower one? We need to have them in the room and have you sat down with them. I'm not sure if there's anybody from 50 Battery Place on this call today, but I would like to be present when you all have a call, if we can set something up. And even when you're talking to the museum, I mean, let's try to set something up where it's a joint communication. I know, Gwen, you've done a great job in years past of meeting with Alice's committee or having some folks come in and we bring all the stakeholders in. Maybe we just set up meetings and we invite, whether it's me, whether it's Jeff, whether it's Tammy, whoever, give it so that people can show up. And this way we can try to make as many people, and again, this is all about staging. This is not about anything else but how to make this work. Okay, so anybody who wants to have the conversation about stopping the plan, this and that, I'm not even talking about it. I'm going forward and having this conversation as if this is going to happen. So understand that that is what our purpose is here.
We are absolutely committed to communicating, to coordinating, and to accommodating to the greatest extent possible the concerns, the objectives of our neighbors there. And so absolutely whatever we need to do, I will follow up and make sure that we're doing.
Let's do it, and maybe we set up a situation where we have a meeting that includes, you know, whether it's going to be everybody, or you have one focus specifically on the school, one focus specifically on the museum, and one focus specifically on the apartment building, 50 Battery Place. But I think those are the entities that are the most affected in that area. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, Tammy, but I think that would be something that I would like to be part of. And I want, not that I don't trust you, Gwen, I want to be part of it so we can guide it and know that it's happening. Does that make any sense?
That's fine. I have no objection.
I think that's really important, and it's also because the people in 50 Battery have received no notification. I spoke to several tenants in there. They've received nothing from management about anything that's happening. So when it happens right outside their window, that's going to be extraordinarily harsh.
Yes. And yes, they're renters, but that does not mean they're not entitled to the same quality of life and the same communication that an owner would. And it's up to us to help them get informed.
Of course, and we have spoken to management, and if there's been a breakdown in that kind of that communication with the tenants, then absolutely we'll take that on.
Yeah, I think that's a theme. I mean, Nick's heard it from us before, from the Homeowners Coalition, that it's a lot of times you all are communicating with the management companies, but that does not translate to the board or then the residents or the tenants, you know, the owners. So that I think is part of what's happening here. It's not flowing through. It's not because you're not talking to them, but it's because it's not passing through. So we need to do better.
Hey, Justine, it's Nick Spordone. Sorry
Nick.
to jump in. If it's helpful to the group here and for awareness, I personally, myself, with my own 2 feet, went to every building in Battery Park City and dropped off posters in the lobbies of every building about the South Project starting. Okay. Nonetheless, we always want to make sure we're getting kind of deeper penetration and trickling through.
Nick,
so I will follow up personally with 50 Battery tomorrow and make sure, say they can't put something electronically out on their building link. But we have good relationship with our way management, and we'll make sure that they get it to their residents.
They need to understand more than the beautiful posters with the lovely photo that below the south and west side of their building, there will be a construction zone.
Yep.
They are not aware of that.
Management, and we'll make sure that we get that in a way that is accessible to folks so they can understand it in an easy way.
Because the disconnect is not you telling the management, it's the management telling their tenants. And that's what's happening. So that's what we want to work on and make sure it's clear. And
we'll keep at it.
Yeah, it's a process. All right. And I know we interrupted you here, but this is the staging. I like the fact you're pushing it back to 8 o'clock. And again, go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to go to the next slide, if that's okay. Claudia. So just, just a high level overview of the durations. We anticipate the Wagner Park Museum piece to take 24 months until substantial completion. The Pier A and the Battery is 20 months. We didn't talk about interior drainage, and we can come back for that when we have more information. It's much more, it's much smaller of an area and less of a duration. So we'll provide more information on that going forward. But that's about 12 months. We're working union hours, 7 to 3:30, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 Saturdays. There's time that, we may extend a little bit to finish certain things. And we do have, some minor work that's, some utility tie-in work and some resurfacing work that will take place over very short periods of time, potentially off hours. And we'll come back and notify you when that's going to happen. But that's towards the resurfacing would be at the end of the job.
And when you say off hours, you mean in the evening, yeah? Or
it could be, whatever DOT allows. That's usually in the evening, but, we'll have to speak to them and see what they want. I do want to introduce our construction community liaison. He's on the line. His name is Rick Fogarty. He's from Melissa Johnson Associates. There's an email address if there's any questions, about the construction. He'll be on board throughout the work. He'll be providing regular updates, along with myself as to where we are, concerns that you've had, if we've addressed them or not, et cetera. So I did just want to introduce him. and he's on the line for any questions.
That would be great. Laura, what I would ask is whether or not it's Rick or whomever, we'd like a phone number too, of someone we can call and.
Yeah, we do.
We do have
Rick,
a
you
phone
wanna-
number. Yeah, we do have a phone number, Justine, that we've set up for the project as well, which we can put, I think, can we put in the chat maybe? You
In
did
the
that
chat,
that way, or
maybe
email
you can
Lucian?
add it to this, because I'm sure the Battery Park City Authority is going to post this as we will, but adding it
yeah.
to the slide would be great too. And who's that? And let us
Absolutely.
know who we're calling, because if it's not Rick, let us know who it is we're calling.
It will be
You're
Rick.
calling Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're calling Rick. So yeah,
Okay.
but we'll make sure that number gets posted in the version that's on our website, and we'll just send it to Lucian also, so
Justine.
you guys have it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Justine, it's Pat.
And
Hey, Pat.
excuse me, could I just make one clarification on the construction duration that the 24 months is all inclusive. So
yeah.
the 20 months and the 12 months is all included in that overall 24 months.
Thank you for clarifying, Gwen. I was going to ask that. Pat, go ahead.
I just want to make sure that phone number is in real time so that if there is a problem at, 2:00 in the morning, whenever, they are calling and speaking to a person who is answering at that time, not at
Correct.
24 hours later.
Yes. Agreed. And again, hopefully you won't be calling anyone at 2:00 in the morning.
I didn't
They're
hear
gonna be
agreed,
gone.
though.
But yes, that's agreed.
I didn't hear agreed.
The point is that, but it's a valid point. The reason why we set up a hotline, because we didn't want it to be sort of like a black hole of phone calls. People will be responded to. In terms of hours of operation, it's something that we should definitely talk about internally. In the event that there is some sort of, it's to your point, if there's something happening on the site or adjacent to the site that's happening early in the morning, not related to construction, we should still know about those things.
Yes.
So we
Or
should
late
talk
at
about
night.
this. Yeah, exactly. Or very late at night. It's a fair point, and we can discuss it for sure. Just
Yeah,
about
we
sort of
can
hours of
make
operation.
sure, that there's someone accessible whenever they may be needed.
That would be really
Thank
important,
you.
especially if there's something going on at the school or something that you need to know before the work starts that next day. For example, I don't know what would be happening, but
Whatever, just that it's in real time.
in real time and that people are monitoring it. So that makes sense.
Justine, this is Nick Spordone. I'm
Hey,
going to
Nick.
send a solution to put in the chat. Good evening.
Okay,
But the
thanks.
project hotline for the benefit of the folks tuning in,
Mm-hmm.
917-624-5409. I say again, 917-624-5409. And I'm sending that to Lucian as well for the benefit of the chat.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Rick's phone number, Rick Fogarty. All right, Robin, is your hand up? Because you wanna say something?
It's not Rick's personal number, but it's a number that.
No, yeah, that's
Yes, but yes,
personal
you're
number
reaching
for
Rick.
this
You're
project.
reaching Rick.
You're reaching Rick.
Yeah, reaching Rick, and it's for this project. Yeah,
Yep.
I would hope it's not his personal number.
Yeah, yes,
Robin.
Justine. Yeah, hi. Hi.
Please, you go.
Thank you for the presentation, Gwen. Nice seeing you. Will there be a project office in the area?
Yes. It would be in the staging area. It would be my office.
And will that be in a building or
A trailer.
a trailer? Okay, so I'm
Are
asking.
you asking, Robin, if there'll be an office that the public can access? Is that what
Yes.
you're asking?
Yeah.
We haven't planned for a public office. It's something that we might be able to talk about to make there be some ability to access information for the public, maybe out of 200 Rector. But we
Right,
haven't.
which has been used in the past.
Right.
Right. And will Rick Fogarty be part of any such office? Will
Yes.
he be, will he
he'll
be
be on the
on
job
site
site.
most of the time?
Yes.
Okay, so he will, over the course of between now and the time work starts, have introduced himself to building management and residential groups. I know we have his information here, but I think with any community liaison, it's very important that, they get to know the people for whom they are, for whom they're working. The other quick question I have, appreciating that the start of noisy work Monday through Friday will begin not earlier than 8 a.m. Will you have the same plan for the weekend. We have tried historically to limit noisy work on weekends here. If you could start noisy work at 9, that would be, I think, positive for the community. I don't know if you can. And also, Gwen, very typical, and Nick, to have ongoing communications, whether that's in writing, whether it's a newsletter that people can sign up for to hear what's going on in advance, I think speaks to some of the issues that Tammy and Justine were raising, but, kind of a look ahead plan, I think would be useful to the community, and I would recommend it if anybody asked me.
Yeah, hi Robin. No, actually we had talked about that too, about making sure that we have, like a 2-week look ahead email that goes out and things that people can sign up for. So
Right.
that way we
A
can build a
listserv
list.
of some
Yeah,
sort.
exactly. A listserv of some things so that people get regular updates. We can notify of if there's any sort of change in pattern, changes due to weather, anything that sort of comes up. We have talked about that just to make sure people are as informed as they possibly can be during the process.
I think that's good, and it will reduce problems going forward. The more people know and have access to information, I think the better it is. So once the initial bumps are smoothed out, hopefully that will be, a positive. So
That would be great. That's very important. Thank you, Robin, for that. I see Pat's hand is raised.
Yeah, just one more thing. I wanted to make sure that you tell all of your workers on site that even though you're waiting until 8 o'clock to start what you consider noisy work, that if they arrive at 7 o'clock, which is the normal hour to start construction, that yelling at one another on a job site is just as annoying as dropping hammers or jackhammering. So at 7 o'clock in the morning, please ask your workers not to be yelling at one another, to consider that there are residents above them. Thank you.
Alice? Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, I just want to encourage that we, for better or for worse, have a lot of folks waiting for, furthering of this. I'm not trying to rush this, but I think we will be covering more of this in the next phase. So I just wanted to say that
we'll move on to the next phase. You're going to be talking about more stages.
Let me just finish. There is a great deal of information here, and there's also a great deal that's missing. I'm sure everyone is aware of it. I think one of the things that's the elephant in the room, if you will, is, sort of the ordering of this, the phasing of it. And I'm hopeful that, I assume the whole Battery Park City crew, thankfully, will be with us in the next agenda item at the Environmental Protection to discuss this further. But I just wanted to make sure we were aware of our timing with folks.
We are. We're just about done. I wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to ask the questions and then we can move on. I have one question that was asked to me and I don't know the answer to exactly. And this might be for a Gwen question or a Nick question. So for all of the Battery Park City resiliency projects, south, which would include the battery, as I understand it. So everything that we're talking about, all of that is being paid for by the Battery Park City Authority, correct? Are there any other funding that's coming into paying for all this?
You are correct that it is being paid for Battery Park City Authority, and the reason that it's being paid for by Battery Park City Authority is because those elements that are outside of the boundary of Battery Park City are essential in order for us to achieve the protection for Battery Park City that has been identified as the objective.
Right. So you're protecting, like I've heard you say before, the 92 acres in Battery Park City and the 88 acres outside of Battery Park City. And that includes Battery Park up to where that little wall is when we did that walk.
Yes.
And all the way through North Moore Street going into, a block or so in off the West Side Highway as that is decided. And
that's correct.
Yes. Okay. That is what I thought. I just wanted to make sure people had asked me and I wanted to be sure I wasn't misinformed. So no, thank you, Robin. I don't think your hand is still up. I think with that, I'm going to be happy to pass this off to Alice because I know she's going to keep talking about these things. And as she said, as Tammy said, there's still a lot of unanswered questions that maybe perhaps her group will be able to suss out a little bit more and get some answers to. And Yeah, thank you. So I guess we can close this one out, Lucian, and then start the environmental committee. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. And I encourage my whole committee to stay on as long as they can, because this matters to us too. Thank you.
Yeah.